When you discovered the law of attraction, you started to believe anything was possible. Life got better, much better. Now you want more, but it's not working. That's where the Manifest It Now show comes in. If you've been waiting for someone who can teach you the practical application to manifest quicker and easier while having more, turn the volume up, because the dynamic duo, Cassie Parks and Ginny Gane, are ready to teach you how to live the law of attraction like they do. It's time to laugh and learn.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Manifest It Now. I'm here with Cassie Parks.
And I'm here with Ginny Gane.
And our topic for today is leaning in and letting go. Or also, I like to think of it like leaning into change or leaning into what is, but the idea of leaning in and letting go.
I'm excited about this one. I was telling Jenny as we started, one of the reasons I brought this up is I've been writing this book in my head for the past couple of months, so I'm excited to talk about it.
If you haven't noticed, Cassie writes books in her head all the time. But that's how they get to paper.
It is. I mean, I have an intention that one day a publisher comes and they're like, yeah, we want 10 books. And I'm like, oh, great. Just let's do the deal. When do they need to be? Because they're all outlined.
Yeah, I have them all. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. And I was also going to mention to listeners that if this topic is going to center a lot, or maybe a lot of our examples are going to come from, home education or online schooling while you have another job and other things to do. So it'll be fun.
Yeah. What are you excited about, Cass?
I'm excited about my new pots and pans.
Wait, what?
My new pots and pans.
Oh.
I know. I'm excited about everything, obviously, but I thought today I was looking at them. They're still in the box. They haven't been taken out yet because we just got them on not a whim yesterday, but they just showed up, So we had been talking about, we need new pans. It's, these ones have, I think I've probably had them for 10 years, and they're just starting to wear in a way I don't like. And, so I just was describing what I wanted, and we stopped by one of Jenny and I's favorite stores, Costco, to get something, and to actually get an additional seating thing for Christmas. And my honey went in and she texted me these are $50 off. Do you want them? I'm like, yes, because they were everything we described, and they are champagne color.
Of course.
So they were just so easy, and I'm excited. To have new pans.
That is so fun.
Yeah.
We had a woman in our tribe the other day manifest a spatula. She's went into the store and she's like, this is a $6 spatula. I probably don't need this to make pancakes. And she did the rest of her shopping, came to the checkout, and she the woman checking her out was like, oh, you have a $5 credit. Would you like something? She's like, yes, I'm getting my spatula.
Yes. I love it. And
yeah.
It was, there were so many things also I love in it. It made me think a lot about business, and, they were $150, and just how sometimes people put that off. And then I did the math on how long I've had my other pans and how much I've used them. And I was like, this is not that we were questioning getting them either, but I was just thinking about people in general. And sometimes people will put off that $150 price tag. And I'm like, but it's going to be so enjoyable. I'm going to get so much bang for the buck. The investment rate of return is huge.
Yeah, it's a great way to do that with those bigger upfront investments of saying this is what going to be 50 cents a day for the next 20 years or whatnot. And it makes a big difference.
I was just laughing because I did that with my ring.
Yes, I do know. That was a big one. I'm going to have this for the rest of my life, so. Love it.
I love it. What are you excited about?
I'm really excited about all the new women that are joining our tribe and really what's coming up for 2021. So I've been leading for the tribe for about a year and a half now, and it's just growing into this authentic, open. It's so inspiring. The women there are open, and I'm getting clearer and clearer about like how to best guide them and the power of a community. And I can just feel this energy going into the new year, and it's amazing. That's what I'm excited about.
I love it because I totally get it. I understand that. And it's so fun. And it's so fun to be in your position. I know, because it's like, oh, okay, this is the way to get better. And this is, just this is the way to grow. And it's so fun when you get to see that in a group. We're going to do an episode on community coming up because it's so powerful and it's amazing for everyone involved.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. So why don't you start with that example, Cass, or kind of like set the foundation here of what we're going to be talking about.
Okay. So if you are, somebody whose child is now online school, or maybe they were in the spring and maybe they're getting ready to go back, or maybe they have gone back at the time that this episode comes out. There's a lot that changes, right? There's a lot of opportunity to grow. And what there really is a lot of opportunity to lean in and a lot of opportunity to let go in order for something to be created. Now, this applies to life and using the law of attraction, right? The more I find that we lean into certain things, the more we see what's available to be let go, or we can see things that can be let go to open up space. And so if you're a parent at home juggling your job and your household and online school, great job. First of all, you should just give yourself
pat on the back.
This is something that everybody has the opportunity to choose. And I have friends that I watched juggle this by choice. They chose to homeschool their kids and they were running their business and their partner works. And I have had watched this for a long time. And in a lot of ways, they had even more choice because they could decide things. But when online school hits, sometimes we were at, there's a certain schedule, there are certain things to be done. And so if you've had a certain routine, that can feel disruptive. It can feel harder. You're juggling, emotions, you're juggling a lot of things. And so one of the things that a lot of people do, we'll talk about, and Jenny and I talk a lot about the stories that you tell. So there's a couple options of story, which is probably where I'll start. You can tell the story of like, I can't wait for this to be over. It's this, it's that. Like, I just can't wait for it to be over. I can't wait for it to be over, right? Mm-hmm. And or you can lean in. You can lean into what is, which is the fact that the world is a little bit different right now, which is giving you extra opportunities to grow. And you can lean into the fact that school is going to change your routine and that there is this opportunity to find a new way to do your day, not just do things, but to do your day. And I've had to learn that, just going through and just learning, okay, this is what it is. And when I lean in, then very often my next question is, what can I let go of? So can I let go of that this has to be done at this time? Can I let go of the way that this feels? Can I let go of I need it to be like this? Can I let go of who I've been in a lot of ways for the past 7 years when I haven't been homeschooling someone? So there's so many opportunities. Where do you want to jump in first, Jen, after that?
Well, when you say lean in, the way the terminology I use with that, I guess I would say it's almost release resistance, but it's like accept. It's like make peace with. And this is this idea of like leaning in is like stop pushing against the way it is because it's going to get you nowhere. And sometimes we don't realize we're doing that because, just like Cass said, our routines have been working for us. Our way of living that we have adopted has been working for us. And probably at some point we did intentionally create it this way, create a morning, create a day or whatnot. And now it's being disrupted again. But change is always an opportunity for us it's not to be passive, but to lean in or to accept and go with that flow. What did you say last week, Cass? You didn't say go with the flow. You said flow with it or something. Do you remember? Anyways,
Flow with it. Like, yeah, I don't.
It's like you're not giving in and being bowled over, but you're moving with the energy of life. You know, you can't change the conditions, most of the conditions in life right now. So if you have only two choices, one is to struggle and push against and say it should be different, or I can't wait for it to change back or whatnot, or you say it is what it is and I get to make the best of this and lean in and then let go.
Yeah. Because once it's, you know, I have this vision of like this sort of this bubble. And when you are resisting or you're not leaning, you know, which means you're pulling back, right? You're taking your energy out of it, or if we think like what it physically looks like, but you're outside of the bubble. And so you're trying to control things or trying to make choices or trying to manipulate, or not even, you know, maybe just being frustrated, but you're outside of it. And when you lean in, it's like going into that bubble. And so not only does it feel better, but you have more power to change things. You know, like if you imagine, you know, a bubble is just you trying to direct, you know, give directions from the outside. But if you get in the bubble, you can maneuver the pieces yourself. You can change things. You can make things flow. And it is about when we lean in, we can find the way to make things flow. And we can figure out we can let go of. And most often this is beliefs, right? That we hold, like, I have to do this first, or I have to, which for some of us, and if you are listening to this podcast, this may very well be me. Like Jenny said, you have created this morning routine. Like you have created this thing that is pristine and amazing and feels so good. And now, and it doesn't just have to be your morning routine, right? You could have created this way of life, and now that is different. And so the opportunity is to let go of it because what happened was you were building that, and this is true for me, right? So as I was building my life and building this way that I do things, and this, which is, by the way, starts with an amazing morning routine, which is a very loose routine. It is routine, but the routine part of it is that it's very loose. But I built my life and I created this amazing life that I'm living now because of that routine. And so when I lean in, I have to let go of that, some of those things. And I have to let go in order to see what will work better. And that can be hard because you're like, but this is how I got here. This is what made my life amazing. And so letting go of it is not just, oh, let go of it, but it is an opportunity, because this is what happens in higher level LOA that Jenny and I talk about. As you grow and you become, you often let go of the things that got you there. Sometimes it's you let go of one belief to open up to a better belief, or you let go of one experience to have another experience. It might be you let go of a person to have a deeper relationship with a different person, you know, friendship, relationship, otherwise. And so there is a lot of letting go. This is just sort of, I don't know, puts it more in a bubble, or is making it happen faster for some people is probably the best way to say it.
Yeah. I would say a lot of things are happening faster because of the external conditions being so drastic and intense in some ways. But part of that, what you're letting go to, is in some cases who you think you are. So part of your identity gets challenged a little bit, which is always fun to grow through. I just wanted to share a funny story because it relates so perfectly. So a few weeks back when I was doing a workshop for entrepreneurs, and part of the assignment was some different affirmations in the morning, and you know, I explained it to everyone, and the lady asked a question and she was like, that's all well and good, Ginny, but normally I wake up to like a child on top of me or like screaming kids. And she's like, there's no time in there to just, you know, center myself or whatever. And we were giggling, but we found a way. I'm like, okay, let's do it this way. Then you can incorporate your kids in this way. And that's exactly what that is so it's being able to catch your reactions, and when things don't go the way you think they should or the way you've planned, to be able to lean in and say, okay, well, how can it work this way too? because it's really operating under the concept of everything is for me. Okay, so life is not against me. This homeschooling isn't against me. It's probably creating some more challenges, but also opportunities. And how can I go with this? Like, go with the flow. How can I lean into this and find another solution? Because, there's 20 solutions available to you in any moment. So we just sometimes only think there's one way because that's the way we've been doing it, and that's what we've got comfortable with.
And we're constantly evolving, and situations force us to evolve. I mean, we always have a choice not to, but they put that upon us. And so it's really is coming, like it's an immediate step into your future self, I would say, because it's who you need to be next. So, thinking of it that way might be more helpful to some people. Like, oh, okay, how can I step in? Because this is the next version of me. And it really is for you. And I've seen this, with some of my clients. We've worked through some things, and it's been huge openings and great for both them and their kids because we've been able to explore different things. And, it's opening up just this whole new space. And for them, it's been a lot of letting go. Like, okay, it can be this way or it can be that way. And the letting go part it can feel challenging because you are letting go of who you are, and maybe a little sooner than you were ready to.
Who you think you are, or your old self.
Who you think you are.
Yeah.
And I'm even going to say, for me, it is who I am. It's really letting go of who I am in the moment. And we can, for me, that feels better. So if it feels better, like who you think you are, that's awesome. But for me, it is who I am. Like, it's who I have become. It's who I worked to become. And so letting go of that in instances can feel very, hard is not the right word, but it can feel a word that I can't even describe, but it can feel like something because it's who I've intentionally become. And now that is changing in a lot of ways, or has been changing. And so it's a constant opportunity to go, okay, who else do I want to be? What else do I want to become in a different way than I have always been able to set it up to be?
Yes.
Or at least since I really started diving into the work.
So I want to give an example, and you can tell me if I'm on with this or not. But I'm making this up, but I can see how this would be applicable. Is someone who's become very intentional and purposeful in their mornings and very nourishing to themselves or in their day. It doesn't have to be the morning, anytime. And so I'm being the woman I want to be when I take a walk at lunch. And now, so that feels very healthy. I'm being healthy. And now all of a sudden, I can't do that because I have to get my son on the computer, and and so I don't have that opportunity. And so you're not letting go of that you're being healthy, but instead of thinking of what you don't get to do or what you want that you're giving up, you can change that focus onto who you want to be in the situation. So, I love being the woman who's flexible. I love being the woman who can be there for her kids. Is that kind of like where you're going, Cass?
Yeah, and I would say even in that example, you're giving up the how. So even though it's felt really good and it's been in total alignment, and this happens, I say this as people grow, like the things that they always did before often become hows that have to be let go of.
Yep.
And so in the example you gave, I would even put that as, okay, if I'm the woman who walks at lunch because that feels really good and I've chosen to be healthy and take this time for myself, maybe that's a stress relief, maybe it's about moving and being active, whatever it is, the reason that you chose and you created that routine, right? And now it's not available. It's because it's now the how. I have to walk at lunch is now a how. So you take those same things, like you were saying, if it's because you're healthy or because you want more peace, whatever the reason, and you have to ask yourself, how do I get that now?
I
and
put
so
that kid on my shoulder and I carry him around.
Right? Or I make up a game.
Yep.
And maybe it's not a walk, or I, teach my kid to meditate, right?
That's happening. Yeah.
Yeah, right. All of those things. It's how else do I get it? You know, I had this and I had it down and I still need or want whatever that is. How do I get that? And it's what I will say about this is that for me, it's not a one-time answer. It is
I love that you said that.
lean in, shuffle, let go, and do it again. And especially in our house, our child has 2 houses. And so then you add on, Jenny has heard it, the emotional and the things that come with reintegration into our household. So, you know, there's this adjust, you know, lean in, adjust, let go.
Like every minute. Like every
Right.
moment. This is like, we're not being like, okay, do that once a day. It's like, okay, and then let's do it again 5 minutes later. Okay, let's do it again a minute later. And that's like the process. But I will, tell me if this is true, Cass, that as you do that, the same as when you practice this, you still have to do it, but it gets easier. And you get more aware of when and how, and so it flows easier.
Well, yeah, it can get easier. And I would love to give some highlights of how it gets easier.
Yes.
Is because I think some people would say, no, it's not gotten any easier. And so if that was you and that went through your mind when Jenny said that, I want to help you out in this moment. Because what it takes is the awareness, right? It takes stepping back. So it's leaning into what's true, but then also it's almost like you do the opposite. You lean into what is, but you step back to observe it. And so in those, there are moments where you do need to step back and it's step back to look at it. Okay, what's happening? What can I see? So look at it as observer, but also you have to get used to asking, like on a quicker way. What do I want? What do I need?
Yep.
What do I want to be happening? Who do I want to be right now? Because those are not questions, you know, maybe in the beginning of this journey and when your kids were going off to school and, you know, you had, 20-minute drive to work to yourself to listen to your favorite music or your favorite podcast or whatever it is. And then you had lunch to walk. You didn't have to ask these questions as often, right? That's what happens when you get that routine. But right now you just surrender. This is where the lean in. I'm going to have to ask myself this a lot. And that is what will make it easier. Even though if you're listening, you're like, that sounds really hard to constantly be like, okay, step back. Like, what do I want? What do I need? But if you can make that the habit, that's where you're going to get the best answers. Yeah. And it's where it's going to keep coming. And if you're willing to keep asking the question, that's where it gets better and better. And that's where it gets easier because then the questions become the habit. And at some point in time, you had to start asking those questions in a habit form for that routine you'd created before. It just became routine and got really easy. And now, because you didn't necessarily choose this, because this is an external circumstance which changed, right? Whereas before, if you decided, now I'm healthy, I want to be a bodybuilder or whatever, right? And you chose, I'm going to go to the gym for 2 hours to lift. I don't know if that's what the schedule would be, but now I'm going to go to the gym for 2 hours. Like you would have chosen that and it would have felt easier to lean in and shift your life and let go around that decision. But this feels a little different simply because maybe you didn't choose that. And so one of the other things you can do is ask, like, what am I choosing right now? Because you can always give yourself back choice, even when it feels like you don't have that choice.
Yeah. And every time you ask yourself, you get clearer and clearer about what you want and who you want to be in those situations. So it stays more top of mind. I think in the space we would have had in the 20-minute drive or the walk or the 5 minutes when you're going to the bathroom and there's no one there,
right?
You have like the space automatically creates some connection to who you are and what you want. So without that space, you really have to be deliberate and conscious about tuning into that regularly.
Yeah. And it's a great opportunity to set new boundaries that maybe weren't necessary before, right? It's okay to set that time, or it's okay to just, lock the bathroom door for 5 minutes. It's okay to communicate with your partner, I'm going to need to take a bath today. and I'm going to need, no kids coming in, or
I feel like our clients are really good at they get really good at saying that and what they want.
Yes. But yeah, to really protect that space, and because it becomes more sacred, right? It was easy before, and now it takes just asking for it and saying that you need it, and finding the way and finding the creative ways to do it, right? And so if you don't know how to get it, this is the same as we always talk about. If you're going, that all sounds great, but I don't even know how I'd get a bath, great. Just start with the fact that you want it. And that would feel good. And that would give you some of the peace you're looking for. Or start with the fact, like, I want to walk, or I want to be able to do X, Y, Z. And just start with what you want, because very often what happens when change is sort of comes upon us, it's not, we didn't choose it, is that we feel like we go into the story of what can't happen. We kind of revert back to old patterns. And so if you can remind yourself to it always starts with, what do you want? So if you do nothing else but ask yourself, what do you want? I want to feel better about this situation. I want 5 minutes peace. I want this to be easier. Those answers will start coming if you stay out of the how.
I want to really emphasize that the power of your story, of those little shifts, adds up to the reality that you actually want. And so it's not going to be, I want my life to be easier, and tomorrow it's going to be easier. It's gradual shifts. You have to let that desire be enough for a little while, and let it grow, and let the universe give that to you, give the evidence, and acknowledge and honor that how you're feeling along the way, versus saying, or just repeating the same story of like, it's so hard, or why isn't it different, or I wish it could be different. There's tremendous power in just acknowledging the desire and then letting that grow. That's how you're going to initiate that change. And you absolutely can create the reality that has more flow and experience. So, and this happens all the time, is none of the conditions of the day change, but the entire experience of the day changes. And then that's the magic. Like that's
yes.
And then when that becomes consistent, then you really start to notice that things outside start to change more and more.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Anything you want to wrap up with, Cass?
Just as we were talking that last time, and I was talking, this flood of visions of clients of mine that have been able to see, because they asked this question, like, how can I get what I want? What do I want? During the pandemic has been beautiful. I have a client specifically a couple weeks ago was like, this is the best year of my life.
I love it.
Right? Mm-hmm. And so when you can do some of the things that we're talking about in this podcast, like, this can open up for you. And really it comes down to a choice. Like, you can bull through this waiting for it to be over, or you can take this as a way to speed up and really grow by giving yourself the opportunities to do what we've talked about in this podcast, and just have things evolve differently and come out of this, like, not like, oh, thank God that's over, but like, ooh, I learned some really cool things, and I am way further ahead than I was before. Further ahead, meaning growth-wise.
Yeah. Just imagine if you looked at your life right now and asked yourself, what if I didn't have to change this? What if I didn't have to push against this? What if this was just okay the way it was? And that's going to really...
What if I could...
Go ahead.
Oh, I just want to add this one. What if I could get everything I needed to done during this time?
Mm-hmm. It's going to open up the space for what you want to happen.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, go get 'em, manifestors. We'll see you next week.
Bye. Is not being able to manifest successfully holding you back? There's some piece that you're missing. I get it, and I can help. And I would love for you to be successful before you pay me to help you. So if you want to learn how to make the law of attraction work for you, and manifest more money, go to payafteryoumanifest.com for all the information and to apply for my program that starts January 1st, 2021, where you get access to me, the Enchanted Circle, and my program, Manifest 10K, which has helped thousands of people manifest millions of dollars, all to start complimentary, and you get to pay me based on your success. Go to payafteryoumanifest.com for all the details and to apply.
Go be awesome!
Thank you for joining us on the Manifest It Now show, where you learn how to leverage the law of attraction to manifest your dreams. Now that you're inspired, share the love and review us on iTunes. While you're there, remember to subscribe.